Welcome back. A federal judge in the U.S. is ordering Apple to help the FBI unlock an iPhone used by one of the San Bernardino shooters. Investigators have been unable to figure out the shooter's passcode, which is the only way to access the encrypted phone data. But Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook says the company will contest the judge's order to protect the security of its customers. The December 2nd shootings killed 14 people in San Bernardino, California. Let's get more now on the judge's ruling and Apple's response. CNN Money technology correspondent Laurie Segall joins me now from New York. Thanks for being with us, Laurie. Now, we may think that any person or company should do what it takes to help law enforcement, particularly when it comes to terrorism cases. But what the FBI is asking for is much more than access to an iPhone passcode. Explain what they want.
Yeah, it's actually a bit more complicated. And Tim Cook has actually come out and put a statement for talking about how they would actually have to build software to help out the FBI in this scenario. So what happens is normally if you try to get into your iPhone 10 times unsuccessfully, there's a security tool that'll wipe all the data. So they're now currently trying to get into the shooter's phone, but they don't want to try more than 10 times in case it wipes out all the data. So they want to build, they want a tool that will enable them to get around that. But Apple has said in order to do that, they would actually have to build software to enable that to happen. And they say if we build that software, that sets a certain precedent that could obviously get into the hands of the bad guys. So you kind of set up this debate of privacy versus protection and also law enforcement and how much oversight they should have, Linda.
And of course, Apple CEO Tim Cook is probably the most outspoken when it comes to encryptions and the government's attempt to threaten privacy. What is he saying?
He's always been the person in Silicon Valley when these kinds of things happen. He really takes a step forward and he puts himself out there and talks about some of these tougher things. And he's been very straightforward when it comes to encryption and the power of encryption to protect privacy. I want to read you a bit of what he put out yesterday when this ruling came down. He said the government is asking Apple to hack our users and undermine decades of security advancements that protect our customers, including tens of millions of American citizens from sophisticated hackers and cyber criminals. You know, so he really is adamant that this would not be a good thing for the future of Apple. This would this would prevent privacy. This could also put civilians in danger of having hackers utilize this tool. And he's really come forward and said that, Linda.
And Laurie, I understand you've been talking to a legal expert. What does this federal court ruling mean? Can they force Apple into doing this?
This is a really fascinating case because it's a very, very important one, and they picked a very good one to litigate because this is the iPhone of a known terrorist who is deceased. The phone didn't actually belong to the shooter. It belonged to the county, who was given over full control and said, you know, do what you want with this. So it's a very good one to litigate, but the outcome will set precedent. So, you know, right now, if this does, in case go through, you know, no private company would be able to guarantee security without the exception of law enforcement, which is a pretty big deal looking down the road as we see this intersection of technology and terrorism. So what we'll see Apple likely do is appeal this and probably take it to a higher court. I mean, this has the legs, speaking to legal analysts, to go all the way up to the Supreme Court here in the United States, Linda.
Wow, this really could set a precedent. Laurie Segall from New York, thank you very much for joining us. Well, still to come, anyone but him. That's apparently the way both of these fellows feel about one another. But are voters listening? We're live in the state where the next major test in the campaign for the White House takes place in a matter of days. Stay with us.